Welcome to the Disruptors in the Culture podcast. I am Amira Smith, and I'm here with my, I would say lovely, but you guys are quite awesome co-hosts, Tony Chennault and Joshua
What's
Meekins.
up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? What's
Perfect,
going on?
perfect. The reason why, let's talk a little bit about kind of what we wanted to do and kind of start this podcast. So, the reason why we created the Disruptors in the Culture podcast is because we felt like there weren't enough people getting the shine and the recognition for doing what they're doing in the culture, um, in ways that kind of highlighted their journeys and the things that they wanted to do. So I know that Tony and I were brainstorming one day and really thought that we could, create a platform for people like that, whether it's film, music, community representation, people, activists, anything. We just wanted to really make sure that people had a voice and a platform to kind of express that voice. And there's no way better to do that than to create it ourselves. So, why do y'all think that's important? Like, why do you think we kind of need stuff like that?
I think it's important, like you said, just to highlight those individuals, and I think people need to really know what a disruptor really means. Like how do we define a disruptor?
Yeah.
Somebody with a radical, with a purpose, a strong intention, and like you said, those individuals deserve to get the proper attention that they need. Especially doing things that's kind of outside the box in their respective industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we want to highlight people like even like anybody that we find artists in Philadelphia, artists in the tri-state area, filmmakers like ourselves, and even things such as like even other podcasts or people just trying to get their name out there and talk about the journey that they're going through. I think that's going to be really important. I think being able to create a podcast for people like that is big. I mean, what do you think our listeners could kind of gain from that?
Just motivation,
Yeah.
honestly.
Absolutely. And a bit of a blueprint, if they can,
Ooh,
right?
blueprint.
You know, of like someone did it this way. Because like even we break down like disruptors, disruption, and culture. I come from film and marketing, right? And I follow this guy Seth Godin a lot. He's like the god of marketing,
Yeah.
and they define culture as people like us do things like this, or people like us do things in this way, right? So if someone comes and there's whatever it is, whether it's sports, entertainment, film, and there's a person that comes and they disrupt the way that things were going, and they do it in a progressive way, then that's somebody worth noting to
Absolutely.
show, like,
For sure.
they're trying to move things forward, So,
Okay. So y'all are probably wondering who are we to kind of have these voices and kind of say these things. So I definitely think we should highlight ourselves and talk about what exactly brought us to this point, or like what credentials that we have. So Amir, I'm gonna start with you first again.
Oh.
Ladies first.
Oh.
So we keep it real cordial around here, do it real polite like.
Yeah.
So if you want to
okay.
tell us about what you used to do, what you do now, things like that.
So I would call myself I'm a producer and creative problem solver. I try to
What do you
figure
mean
out,
by that? Yeah.
I try to figure out pain points
Okay.
overall. And I've noticed no matter what I'm doing. So my quick and dirty background is I work in film.
Okay.
And that's by choice. Some people say, well, what makes that, or what made you make that decision? I'm like, it's kind of like it's in you, right? To really love storytelling, no matter what the medium is. And so I use storytelling throughout every thread. I work in marketing. I'm a graphic designer. I've been doing graphic design for 18 years now.
Yeah.
And that's been woven all through all of my different work. I'm a film producer, but I'm less of a practical on-set producer than I am of like setting plays, right?
Gotcha.
Introducing parties that need to be introduced, bringing on what production company is best for the job, that
Okay.
type of producing. Not that I won't do practical set producing because I'm transitioning into that. But yes, I would say a creative problem solver for that, right?
Okay.
People will come to me and say, hey, I'm looking for someone who needs to fill this position on set. And I think of my Rolodex of people. Sometimes I literally go through my phone, go through contacts. Who can I refer for this? I'll know people who they may work at an agency or have a company, and they're like, I need a production company that can do X, Y, Z. And I need them to be able to have more of an experimental, mindset with like looking at creating my content. And then I go over like, who do I know? And if I don't know someone, I find another, content creator to make the play. So yeah, like what's your problem? I could probably solve it. But I have a long background, even tech, and so I'm even some people know me from the film office. I was for 4 years the director of marketing and multicultural affairs, which is basically inclusion and marketing at the Greater Philadelphia Film Office, which is Philly's film commission. that film commission exists to bring production to the area of all scales, right?
Mhm.
To bring more film production here. And I wore so many hats, from marketing to everything visual you saw from them, including website, that user experience design. And I was also the in-house tech, because I came from the tech world.
She said
So
she
I
does it
was-
all.
Yeah, so that's the quick
Do it
and
all,
dirty
Amira.
on, yeah. And it's like through that work, I met Tony, who,
Yeah.
you know.
But talk about how we met though.
Oh.
Not just like
Tony always put me, no, it's because Tony always,
talk about how we met.
no, 'cause he always puts me
No.
on blast, because Tony used to reach out to me.
Trying to talk to her.
One of my, no, that wasn't even it. One of my oldest friends, her cousin is Tony's uncle. And he would be like, my nephew, he got this web series. And I was like, okay, oh, it looks good. And he's like, y'all should know each other. I was like, okay, it's a cool web series. And Tony like emailed me, or he DM'd me, and
On
I was
Facebook.
just like, he's like, this is what I got going on, this and that. But I didn't know what the ask was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just
wasn't
kinda like-
intentional.
Yeah, he wasn't like, hey, I want you to, like, gave me the action item. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it looks good, keep going. And then, like,
She Hollywood me, right?
She saw our first piece. She was like, oh, hey, great. Okay, continue. Keep doing what you're doing.
I watched a bit of it, and I was like, this is good stuff. But then, like we said, the office, I wore so many hats. I was always,
Yeah.
like, running,
Yeah.
like, short, like, running ragged a little bit. And then me and Tony ended up at the same business accelerator program. And as we're going around, and I remember being in a room, and I was like the last intro, and he was like, oh, I'm Tony Chennault, I'm a filmmaker. I was like, oh.
Ooh.
I said, I'm about to be on blast. He gonna be like, oh, yeah, you ain't responding to me. And I was just like, damn. And then I thought to myself, I said, this means we're supposed to work together.
But I also think it's a lesson of that of not taking things personal though. Like,
Yeah, 'cause
some
it
people
wasn't.
take it personal. Like, no, I'm not working this person. Some people be genuinely busy or have other obligations at the time,
Yeah.
so you can't take it personal. You just
At all.
if it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen.
Okay, so we're gonna transition right to Tony then.
That was-
Yeah.
that was a good
Exactly,
leeway.
like that.
So my name is Tony Chennault. Grew up in Philadelphia, Island section of Philly. I got into film in college. Went to Villanova University, one of the best schools in the country.
Yeah.
I was playing basketball there, and I kind of came to the realization that I wasn't gonna go to the NBA. So I had to figure out what I wanted to do after basketball. So I had two professors there, Professor Hezekiah Lewis and Professor Steve McWilliams, who kind of introduced me to the craft of filmmaking and just being able to tell a story from your perspective and be able to tell holistic narratives that could drive social change that kind of just motivated me to want to become a filmmaker. So after graduation, we went on to create, what was it, 267 Productions?
Yes, sir. The first one.
The first production company, and it was me, Rob, Josh, Tom, and one of our other friends, Alex, and we went on to produce Old Head, and then we just went on running from there.
How did you guys meet?
Film class.
So it was weird
Wow.
how,
Yeah.
At Villanova.
Yes.
yeah, but it was like at first I didn't really know Josh.
Yeah.
It's not that many. It wasn't that many black
But
people in Villanova
nah.
at the time anyway. But I just came up to Josh like, "Yo, man, I'm starting a production company. You want to be a part of it?" And I just
Yeah.
asked
That was
you
it,
like
yeah.
that, like,
I
"Yeah,
was
cool."
what's
Like,
up?
so then we just been kind of like been business partners since then.
Same.
And I think it really works because we really think opposite, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's more logistic, operational, and I'm more just like just get it done, just a doer. More
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why I think the business relationship really worked for us.
You gotta
the
supplement
last few
each other's
years, yeah.
strengths, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One disclaimer though, I do not work at the film office anymore.
Just throw it out there.
Yes,
Just to make sure I
it's
know.
been over 6 months, 8 months or so since I've worked there, just to put it out there. Like,
So you're not looking for her.
I mean, no, just because it's like, you got something you want to hire me for. I might be
She's available.
for
The freelance
Let
producer.
her know.
freelance
Any-
producing, exactly.
Any work I need done. Read over your script. She's good at that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I guess we get to you, Josh.
Yes, sir. Joshua Meekins from Trenton, New Jersey. One of the biggest things for me always was I liked entertainment on all sorts of avenues: fashion, entertainment, music, media. I dabbled in music for a while. Kanye West always talked about he made 5 beats a year for like 3 summers. I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Or 5 beats, like a beat a day, or 5 beats a
literally.
day.
So he was like, I did a beat a day for a summer, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. So like my summer going into like my freshman year in college, I made a beat a day while playing 2K every single day. So I
It
got
was the motivation.
bruh every single day. 2K11 with Monte Ellis on the Warrior, I was bombed. I was beating people, taking their money. But got to college, started off pre-med, which was like my parents were like, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I started off that way, realized that blood wasn't my thing,
Mhm.
and I just really wasn't into it as much as I thought I was. So I went to film, media production exactly, and took some film classes from there where I met Tony, and me and Tony became close during that class. It was funny because when Tony first like approached me and was like, "What's up?" and Tony, I was like, "What's up?" I'm trying. Like it was just like real like weird. Like we never, it didn't click right away. We would talk music, and then we kind of like melded from there. But like it was just kind of like, what does he want from me? I don't know.
Tony, what's up with you and your ass? Like, everybody be like,
I gotta fill you up.
Yeah.
Tony's genuine. So when Tony comes up to you, kind of like, so what was the purpose?
Wait, and this was before you guys were in film class.
No, this is when we was in film class.
Oh.
Like I was sitting here, he was sitting literally next to me. So we kind of just like bonded from that point on. But yeah, went to that film. Ended up having a job out in LA when we graduated. That fell through, which at this point I think is one of the biggest blessings, because that falling through, I think I posted a picture on Instagram that I was still in Philly, and Tony was like, "Yo, bro, let's link. Hit my number, hit my line. Let's talk." So that's how I got pulled into Old Head, and then we did 3 seasons of Old Head, which has been fantastic. And now we're working on a feature film. But I've been kind of sucked in and really kind of figuring out this game for the past 4 or 5 years, which has been amazing. I think like this platform gives us a chance to talk about our failures, the connections we've made, the things that worked, the successes we've had, to highlight the people we've met along the way, and just continue to talk about the passion that we have on a constant, consistent basis, and provide insight for those who really might have questions or want to know what we're really doing. Because I've seen the comments on YouTube talking about like, "Oh, what do y'all just do old head? What's going on? Why is there a break? We gotta let y'all know there's other things going on. There's failures. There's much more to us than just old head. We're doing a lot. We provide people with that, but at the same time, you got to grow with us if you really want to be invested."
And for those that don't know, Old Head was a web series, or is, because it's not was. It's still going. Yeah, it's a web series. 3 seasons in.
Yes, ma'am.
Tony and Josh's baby.
Yeah,
it's like urban. How would you describe it? Like gritty,
urban, and like educational at the same time.
Yeah, tell them about the premise of like Old Head.
Well, the premise is this protagonist Bumpy. He lost his best friend to the streets, and he vowed to his best friend if something happened to him, he'd take care of both of his sons. So one of his sons went off to college, the other one just got released from prison. So he's trying to do everything in his power to make sure he stays on the straight, on the narrow path of doing the right thing. And when he comes home, which is the character LA, he comes home and he wound up getting involved with the wrong people. Now Bumpy has to try to pull him out that mix. So it's kind of like really just showing that relationship between the old head and the younger person and what that mentorship really looks like, because I feel like that's not really highlighted a lot of narratives or media in general. Yeah,
and even in addition to that, like even when Tony and I continued to tell the story on season 2, we wanted to make sure that we were giving season 3. No, season 2. Like, remember season 2 to season 3. Like we talked about, giving people a platform of like that realism. Like those are neighborhoods that we grew up in.
Yeah.
So and not a lot of people tell those stories, I want to say accurately and educationally. Like everybody tells a story of a kid from the hood that grows up that deals drugs or can go to school and he's dealing with all these life crises. Like we get it.
Yeah.
But like nobody really tells the truth. Like those aren't easy decisions. And every single decision that person makes has a repercussion. You know what I mean? Like I will always talk about when I grew up, I had the blessing of being the party removed from those situations. All my friends were involved in that stuff, but I was the party removed. You know what I mean? So me watching and witnessing those things take place, I'm watching their lives drastically change because this kid didn't go to school on Tuesday. Since he didn't go to school on Tuesday, XYZ happened. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all these variables that come to those decisions, those minute decisions that people think are just small and actually end up being life-changing decisions. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure we told that in an honest, impactful way.
Yeah, and being people of color, like we said, they could be monumental, which you think is a really small decision. It's like, I think me and Tony grew up in it because Old Head takes place completely in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I grew up in crack era, North Philly, Strawberry Mansion. You know what I mean? So it's like knowing the weight of your decisions, even young, right? And it's only through seeing an old head and how they turned out. And you can be like, well, I think I don't want to do that.
You learn from that, and that's wisdom. But like, it also shows as Black people, we like mosaic individuals. We made up of so many different elements and layers, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of storytelling, in particular when you're doing Black narratives.
Yes. So that we're not this monolithic looking group. It's like, no, we're very varied and different. And Yeah,
I
it's
would
not
say,
one black voice.
with
Right?
that being said, what do y'all think are qualities that make, I guess, directors of color or black directors and producers so unique? Because I feel like right now in the climate of film, they're starting to take a rise. Like Queen and Slim just came out with Lena Waithe, which is fantastic, a way of storytelling.
Who was the lady that directed? It was a black
Melina
female.
was.
She did. I think she did an
Matsoukas.
awesome job,
Right.
and I even like some of her shots. In particular, like when they were riding in the car, when the police pulled them over, how she had both of the characters and Ruse the Third to have their own different perspective of how the situation was going to happen with the cop. That's what I got from that scene. Like the man was more like kind of like conservative when the woman was more aggressive.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was important, you could tell from the shots. I know you had your critiques.
I
I see.
have my critiques.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna talk about Queen and Slim.
No,
we ain't gonna get in
we
depth.
won't. We won't. Yeah,
But I was just talking about like that. I thought that was from a director perspective.
Yeah.
That was really, really good on her end.
Yeah. I think when we look at the rise of black directors, like it's just, I think it ties directly into the amount of screens now, right? Before,
So many different outlets.
Yeah, before I think the number of like movie theater screens across the country, I used to notice like the back of my hand, which maybe I should look at Box Office Mojo real quick. But yeah, it was something like either 2,500 or 2,700 or 4,000, something like that. But it was like you were kind of like limited to movie theater screens, right? And where they will show. But now we have so many streaming platforms, and then YouTube has taken a rise, and then you could put your stuff behind a paywall if you need, so it's so many screens, so it's a need for more content. And with the internet, like people have proven, if you don't make what I want to see, maybe I make it myself. And then we saw Vine.
Somebody gonna watch it. Yeah. TikTok,
you know what I mean?
even
TikTok,
now.
like people are creating the content that they want to see, but they do want to be challenged. They want to see like really good stories, really good directors. So it was kind of like adapt or die. So platforms, I won't say it's like I don't want to be like morbid and say that they only embrace directors of color because they don't want to be phased out, but a bit, because they're kind of somewhat getting out of the way. And then we've just seen a lot of really great storytelling, whether it's Ryan Coogler or, you know what I mean? Kind of
Stephen Cable. Those guys.
Barry Jenkins, and making the tide rise, right? Even though we know there's been great film forever, whether it's Gina Prince by the Wood, like Love and Basketball, it's been great stuff.
And that's I think that's a big reason why. I mean, I feel like directors of color, producers of color, media creators, content creators of color are starting to say like, listen, we've done this. We've shown y'all this is successful. There's a proven formula that shows you that this is going to be content that is absorbed, created, and make you millions. And you're going to sit here and tell us this is not the time. Like, you're kidding me. Like we even doing some of the research, like even for the feature film that we're trying to create, doing the research there, it took them not even $500,000 to make Friday. Friday did how many $1 million?
Probably
and
like
success.
$5-6 million.
Crazy amount of money in that recoup. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you constantly have these examples of black people have the crazy power of taking nothing and making something incredible.